Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Soul Purpose Leaders. Today, we have an amazing leader. She's beautiful. She is enthusiastic. She's charismatic. And we're here, as usual, to actually empower, inspire somebody out there who's ready and wanting to get that second help, or someone to give them a hand, or to just even listen to these empowering people, what they're going through in their lives and what actually they're doing for themselves, but for also other people. Now, today we have an amazing person. Her name is Donna Dibbert, and she is incredible. She's the owner of Hayoka Ltd. She set up in February 2018. She helped leaders to utilize workplace engagement and culture to improve productivity and boost profit. She has three daughters, husband, and a 10-month-old granddaughter, plus a rescue boxer dog called Bobby. Beautiful. Left school at 17 with 5 O-levels. Start work on YTS scheme as a dental nurse, then trained at the Liverpool Dental Hospital, became pregnant while training, got married, and continued working. What a new challenge. So got a job selling photocopies for a small independent dealer. Then moved to Agfa in 1990, sold many different products and moved around the business, eventually selling X-ray film and equipment into the NHS. Agfa was wholly owned by Bayer, and they were doing some collaboration work with the diagnostic testing division. When she was offered a transfer to join their diagnostic business in 1998, they saw her transitioning into Bayer, and she found that was interested in training and development. Became trained in sales methodology, training and coaching salespeople in the field, wanted to develop this further, but was constantly told that was too good at sales to be moved to another part of the business. She left in 2005 due to frustration and joined Dade Behiring, isn't it? I said that correctly?
Bearing, yeah.
Bearing, okay. And she did sales training and coaching plus sales. Siemens bought by diagnostics and Dade hire Bearing into 2007. And so she was back with many of the people and had worked with previously. Was offered a sales role or a role to set up coaching and create a more unified culture from the three business plus Siemens that had all been, how can I say this?
Amalgamated.
During her time at Siemens, she became a qualified executive coach, a systemic team coach, a change management practitioner, and and a lean practitioner. She also developed her expertise and knowledge both theoretically and practically. After five reorganizations, she decided to take redundancy and set up Hayoka Ltd to provide practical support for businesses to improve and get results. Wow. Okay. I had a lot of what they call it, lips going exercises here. What an amazing journey. Oh my goodness. And if I mispronounce anything, please forgive me. But for everybody else who wanted to know that and read for themselves, I'm going to actually download it and write this recording, so you're not going to miss out. Welcome, Donna. What an amazing journey. I appreciate for you to being here today. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, let's start from, oh my goodness, you've done a lot of sales jobs. You've actually grown from your own career and you've gone to different things. And I love that you ambitious in a way that you wanted in your life. But if we can go back, tell me, when you were a child, how were you? Were you the same person or were you different?
I've always been the same person. Do you know what? The first thing to say is that you said it was an amazing journey and stuff, and I've not really thought of it that way. For me, it was just a step at a time, and each of the steps I took, when there was choices to be made, I took them. And most of our lives evolve in that way. So when we get to being a bit older and you look back, you think, oh, wow. But actually, in the moment, in whatever the context is. So thank you for that. That's a good way of looking at it. I've always been a little bit different. As a child, I always looked, I remember one of my friends at school was run over on a zebra crossing. The rest of us were sort of talking about it later on, and they were all saying how bad the driver was, and I said, oh, you don't know what happened, wonder what's been going on for him that he hasn't been paying attention. And one of my friends said to me, how come you always look at things in a different way? And it stuck with me. I must have been 13, 14 at the time, and I didn't think I looked at things differently. That's who I am. So I'll always try to make things a little bit different and always think what else is possible, and view things from people don't tend to do things maliciously. In all of my working life, I think that most people want to do a good job. They want to get up in the morning and feel valued and come home at night and think, I made a difference today. And yet stuff gets in the way, and that's why I do the work that I do, to help people deal with the stuff that gets in the way. And I've always been a little way that inclined.
Wow, that's amazing. And to know that this is who you are, and actually standing up and say that to your friends and say, you know, it's like you knew and you are like confident to be in your own space, to be who you are at that age of, of lifetime. And because people, most of the time, they just like, oh, maybe I should change. Maybe I should be the same as my friend, but you did not do that. And that's amazing. And we're glad to see you as you are today. Now, and I want to also know is that because you did you started working on YTS scheme as a dental nurse, then trained in a dental hospital. But then was this before the sales or after when you're doing the sales?
Okay, so before, so YTS was in the early 80s, there was really high unemployment, and the government invented a program called the YTS, which was the Youth Training Scheme. That's what it stood for. And you got £23.50 for partaking in the Youth Training Scheme. So it wasn't very much money. It was pretty low down the scale of where you could be. And I did that job because I didn't have another job at the time. And it was at the end of that, I realized that I wanted a car and didn't have the money to buy a car, and that a sales job would give me a car as part of the package. And that's why I went into sales. That's why I decided to move into sales, because I wanted a car and couldn't afford one, and the easiest route was to find a job that had a car with it. And so that's what I did. So I went from there and it was quite different. It was a proper baptism of fire. From being in the NHS to going into the corporate world, it was like, whoa. But it was great. You know what? I absolutely loved it. It was like everything was new every day, and I learned new stuff every day about myself and about sales as a process as well. So that was what that was about.
I love that. The way you think is just beautiful, because every time you say these things about, I wanted a car and I looked a job that actually can give me that car. You know what I mean? Because other people be like, no, let me find another job. Let me you know what I mean? And walk around it to get the car. But the way your mind is just beautiful. And I love that, because it just goes straight to the problem. Let's find a solution, and a better solution. I love that. Now, going into sales. Okay. I'm a bit like, because as a coach, as a speaker, as a person who, I've kind of like we get into the people who have problems, okay, who are going through difficulties. And I love to have people like yourself because we can go a bit deeper. Okay, now I want to talk to, so you've been in sales for many years. You actually enjoyed it, and I can see that. Not just by reading your bio, but just I can see it from yourself. It feels like it's passion and it's something that it just comes easy for you. But was it like that at the beginning?
Oh God, no. No, learning anything is clumsy. Learning anything is hard. It's like, I always had the view that if it didn't work out in sales, I could go back to being a dental nurse because I had that. It was my safety net. That was my exit plan. At the same time, I also knew that every interaction that we have with other human beings involves some sort of sales skills. So things like listening, you have to be, it's a bit of a myth that people who chat a lot are salespeople. It's about listening and listening to what is really being said, because we can all have challenges with stuff. And every single sale that I made, and every sale that somebody, if you choose to buy something, you're choosing to make a change. And choosing to make a change is not the easiest thing. It's quite uncomfortable. So salespeople manage the change process with other people, and that's how I viewed it. My job was to walk alongside you whilst you made a change and got the results that you were looking for, because we change for a reason. And when you change in a sales process, it's very obvious. So my job was always to walk alongside them. Did I get it right all the time? No, I had so many failures. The master will have failed more times than the beginner will ever know possible. And I think that that's what makes you skilled, is the learning that you get when things don't go right. When you stop and think about, okay, I've done that and it didn't quite work. What could I as part in, and how do we make sure that that is a different experience next time? Because it's always about what you experience.
I love that. And it's so true, because we people that sometimes we overthink the word sales, but in business, and we do it sometimes without knowing that we're actually selling to other people, other brands, and it just comes naturally. But when it's about yourself or your business, you're like, oh, where should I start? What should I do? And I love the way you explain it there, and it's really true. It's just you're walking with the person and you actually listen to them, and the way you communicate is you communicate their language. You're not communicating your language, and it's the most little things. And yes, it's the skill that you can learn, and I love that. Now you've been doing it for many years, sales, and also you've grown to different organization, different company within sales, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now because you also, when you left, you were saying that you were frustrated, you're feeling low, and you wanted to go, and you took redundancy, and you left that all that growth that you've done and everything that you went through. But when was that time? What decision, or how did you come up to that decision for yourself?
I sort of think the universe made the decision for me, if I'm being honest. I'm a big believer in putting it out to the universe, and you're always given choices, and our own choices, we can choose anything we want, and we're not free of the consequences of them. So I was lucky enough that we didn't have a mortgage. There was a possibility. I got paid some money to leave the organization, which meant that I could leave and then decide to do what else was possible. The job I had when I left was absolutely amazing. It was my dream job. I adored it. My boss was fabulous, but that was coming to an end. And what it was transitioning into, I knew what I wanted to be. I knew that I couldn't be it. So I thought, then I'll choose to walk away. So I left, and I have to say, having worked for 30 odd years in a job that you get paid for. To walk away from that was proper scary. I felt sick. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. Am I making the right decision? And when I left, I then took 6 months practicing for, I term it now as I'm practicing for retirement. So I took 6 months where I didn't do anything. I just wandered around, and I didn't have a car. I got up and baked. I walked the dog. I went and met all of these friends who I haven't seen for donkey's years because I've been working. I got to know my local community, and I loved it, but I knew that I didn't have enough money to sustain that lifestyle, so I had to do something else. I had a couple of interviews, and each time the interviews didn't like the colour of my hair, or didn't like the fact that I was, because it's the corporate world, and those things mattered to people, and there was a lot of discomfort with that I would come in and disrupt the world for them. So I took that as a sign that I should just do it myself. So that's what I did. I just took the sign, I'll do it myself, I'll make it up. Hayoka is a tribe of Indians in America called the Lakota tribe. They have a cultural figure called a Hayoka. And if you Google it, there's loads of information about Hayokas. Spelt slightly different. But what the Hayoka does is they hold a mirror up to the tribe to reflect back their practices and how they behave, and whether they're in fitting with the culture or whether they want to shift the culture. So they're a bit of a wise man, but they're also a contrarian, a bit of a fool. And I think that is me. That's what I do when I work with businesses. So I took that name, and I've been successful in, I've had enough work to sustain me over the 2 years that I've been going. And so whilst it was really scary, it's a bit like having coloured hair. I don't think I could go back to being brown anymore, because that's not who I am. And so working in corporate world at this moment in time, I don't think it's who I am anymore. That's not to say I can't go back if I need to, because if there isn't enough work, then that would be a possibility. But at the same time, in the most of it and enjoying it. And I love working with my clients, and when they have the shifts, because again, I walk alongside them. I'm there while they transition into something else. I catch them when they fall, I dust them off and put them back out again. We talk about the learning, we talk about what it is their goals and objectives are, and how everything that we do then ties back into your goals and objectives. Whether that, whenever there's an iffy decision, how does that tie in with what you're looking to achieve in the longer term? Because if we only deal in the short term, you only get short-term things and you never get to achieve your goals. I don't even know if that answered your question, but that's sort of where it went anyway.
It did answer my question, and it's a lovely colored hair you've got there. And but it's true what you say, because end of the day, we get to a point in life that sometimes lives throw us kind of lemons, or throw us some things like, oh, do you want to make a difference in your life? Do you want to change? Do you want to improve? You know what I mean? And sometimes we miss those signals, I would say, for some people. Now, if there's people like that at the moment, especially with this pandemic that's going on and is still happening, what would you say to them if they are actually the same as you? Because a lot of people, they've lost their jobs, and they might be in the same transition of their lives. What would you tell them?
So there'd be a couple of things. I would say reach out, because there is so much help and support out there. There are so many people who've given me a foot up along the way, who've helped me, who've listened to me, who've allowed me to talk through some of the concerns and got me to think about them in a different way. So I think the first thing to do is find that listening partner, that person, not who's going to agree with you, because that's no good. You want someone who challenges you a bit and pushes you back and gets you to see the world from a different angle. So find a listening buddy, a listening partner, whatever you want to call them. And the second thing is, think about where you are now, what things you love and what things you're not so happy with and frustrated with, and pick them up and move them in your imagination 5 years ahead. And try and think about, okay, what would those things be to you if you're 5 years ahead? Would you be frustrated and wish that you'd done something different? because we don't want to live with if, buts, and maybes. And also, when a butterfly is in its cocoon before it comes out, it's uncomfortable, it's tight, it's squashed, it takes a little bit of effort, it is uncomfortable. And you need to know that you're going to be caught if anything doesn't work out right. But my sort of experience is that even the things that haven't gone wrong have led me to some, it typically gets me to somewhere really pretty that many other people haven't been to. So I think it's about trusting yourself, trust who you are, and know that nobody else is you. So however much advice you get off anybody else, nobody is you, and only you know what is important to you. Your soul knows where you need to be. Your soul knows, and you have to listen to it sometimes.
Amazing. And thank you for your advice. It's such amazing advice because it's needed at the moment, and people need to, to hear it. And thank you for that. Now, going back now, you as a coach, as a leader, what is that one thing you fall in love when you meet your client and they're going through some tough time and they actually needed you? What is that journey like?
So I often say to people that I'm a little bit like Nanny McPhee. So I don't know if you've seen the Nanny McPhee films.
Yeah.
And they're really good. So she turns up, and so she's there when you don't want her. When you need her, she's there, and when you want her, she's gone. And so that's a little bit like me. When I come to, in the first place, it's uncomfortable. It's not very, typically, it's not a great place to be. People are stressed, uncomfortable, not knowing. And for me, it's again walking alongside. It's allowing people to be the brilliant person that they are. We all have so much genuine personal power. Even when we think we haven't got it, we have got this uniqueness, this gift. And my job is to make it shine and for you to be the best version you can, whether that be in a leadership role. And I think leadership is a really interesting subject because we're all leaders. We have leadership qualities. When we stand up and have a stand and are genuine who we are, that sends out a vibe and a role modeling to the younger people, to our families and friends, that other things are possible. And we don't always see that in ourselves because our eyes look outwards. They don't see how everybody else sees us. So it's about bringing that beauty and that power and that voice to people, which is important. And leadership is about that, standing up and being counted and being true and going with what you feel is authentic and right.
Thank you so much. And it's the biggest thing that people need to have, but also the people that might have it, but sometimes we get overconfident, or sometimes we get ourselves to feel, or doubting yourselves because we think, is it right? Am I saying the right thing? Or am I coming out too strong? Now, if you can actually see a person that you feel that this person might need or might looking for a person like you, would this what kind of person do you actually help, or what type of people or type of business do you go for that to be your clients or to help them for your business, their business?
Okay, so typically I look for attitude. So when people have tried stuff and are unsure of how to move forward, they're the companies that I work with. So I'll work generally with SMEs, but I will work with bigger teams as well. It's usually where there's a frustration, where there's a possibility that more could be done better, where the profits aren't where they need to be, where the productivity isn't where they need to be. And with trust in me that when I challenge them and push them, that they're willing to try something different. And that's it. I'll ask you difficult questions. I'll push you to places where you maybe don't want to go, and I'll reflect back to you some of the behaviors that you are exhibiting that may be contributing to some of the misresults that you're getting. But it's always done with the intention of understanding where you want to be and how you want to move forward. So I work with whole teams, I work with whole businesses, and all of it is about understanding the voice of the system so that we can move it forward in line with individual and collective goals. So it's business owners, really.
And with business owners, because of the team, do you help them with the how, you know, the communication or the way they treat their people?
Yeah, it's all about the people. It's all about relationships. Relationships and results, getting things done. They're the stuff that I work with. So my client I worked with this morning, he'd been trying loads of things. He said his staff weren't engaged. They didn't want to do stuff. So we've worked together for 8 months, and we've had COVID in the middle of it, and it's a factory. So it's a very gritty environment. Now, they used to have a big problem with quality control. The products weren't as good as they were supposed to be. It was going backwards and forwards. 8 months later, they don't have a problem with QC anymore. They've increased their profits. And he said to me, the journey and the leadership around which he's traveled has made such a big difference, both to him and to the people in the factory. Not everybody, but a large majority of them have moved significantly and are doing things that they weren't doing 8 months ago. They take pride in their job. They're bothered about the outputs. They talked about the customer where none of them were talking about it before. And for me, it's a byproduct of and communicating effectively.
That's beautiful. And I would like to ask you, if you've got a message to the world, what would that message be?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the message to the world would probably be about stop focusing on the bottom line so much. If you focus on people, the bottom line will get to where it needs to be, because ultimately the productivity of businesses and organizations comes from the people in it. And far too often we have companies where our biggest asset we know is the people, and yet our people leave their brain at the front door, come into work, do what you tell them to do, and collect it on the way out. If you can find a way to make somewhere that people feel like they contribute, that they are valued, that they're heard and listened, your profits will jump. Absolutely 100%. And you'll have a better organization because you've got intrinsic value that is delivering what clients and customers need to, not just ticking a box on growth and money, and that will occur, but it doesn't have to be. You don't have to treat people shabbily. You don't have to provide spaces which are inhumane in lots of ways. It is possible to do it the other way around and get profits.
That's amazing. And I love the message because it is true. I've seen it myself. It doesn't work when you treat people badly. And that is true. When you start treating them, acknowledging them, and actually putting them first, you're gonna get good business and profit will flow like there's nothing else. So it is true. Now, how do people get in touch with you? Where do you hang out?
Okay, so I live in the northwest of England, but I don't mind traveling. I quite like traveling if anybody wants to, and we can do Zoom. I have a website. So my website is hayoka.co.uk. It's the only one that comes up. So yeah, and my email address I can send out to you. So it's donna.dibbert@hayoka.co.uk. And my telephone number as well, I'm more than happy to share, which is 07834 694 8. I also do meditation as well, as the other thing I do. I'm a meditation teacher, and I do that again because the people side of things, stress and anxiety is a huge thing. And so I do it because it helps people feel better. That's the feedback I get. That's not just me.
It is true. Meditation is the key. It's just beautiful, and sometimes it's just needed when the times are overwhelming and unbearable. And also just to enjoy. Sometimes you just need that calmness and just breathe. You know, it's really amazing. Donna, it's been a pleasure, and I would like to ask you if there's anything else you want to share with us. Please tell us if you are either having a new service or something that you want people to join or anything. Please let us know.
Yeah, so if you want to chat to me about whatever, then please give me a call. I love working with businesses who are just stuck and want things to be better. So give me a shout. I'm more than happy to chat. And that's it, really. Lovely to talk to you. I had such a nice time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for everybody else who's listening, this is Donna. And yes, you can get in touch with her and within the platform, or even going, because I will add all her links and the phone number. You can actually get in touch with her personally. And this is the way to go. So for everybody else, I shall see you soon with another guest. Thank you very much.